Greetings and welcome to another edition of Fill Your Own Void, the podcast. Again, it's Fill Your Own Void, the podcast, where we will be discussing topics that's near and dear to you and yours, as well as topics that's near and dear to me and mine. First, let me introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. My name is Chuck Rose, and I'm the author of Personally Improving Mental Performance, as well as Access to Success. And I'll be your partner on our journey to becoming our own life coaches and navigating our path to enlightenment and an increased quality of life. Again, I'll be your partner on our journey to navigating our way to an increased quality of life and becoming our own life coaches to enlightenment and increased quality of life by our own definition. Now, for those of you who are joining for the first time, we've got probably now 11 episodes, or this will be the 11th under our belt. So thank you for those of you that's been listening in. But we established the baseline question relationship with the listener. And this is our podcast, not my podcast. So if those of you who are joining for the first time, do know that this is not one of those life coaching, motivational speaking only. These are topics that you're going to be sending in. And I invite you to send those topics in to fillyourownvoid@gmail.com. Again, that's fillyourownvoid@gmail.com. That baseline question to those of you who are listening in for the first time is, are you getting what you want out of life? Are you currently living the quality of life that you desire, deserve, and dream about? If not, hopefully our discussions on this podcast will help you fix that. And if you are, we again invited you to send those facts from the field and best practices in to fillyourownvoid@gmail.com so we can too also flow through life with that same calm, cheerful assurance that you do. We're not just going to be talking about, topics from my book, Access to Success, and of course, Personally Improving Mental Performance. Again, we're going to be talking about all the endowments. Mind, body, and spirit, as well as the other disciplines that we enjoy. Sports, fitness, finance, philosophy, self-help, and more importantly, again, those topics that you choose of your choice around parental, marital, financial, physical, emotional, spiritual, all of the endowments. Because we want to calibrate a 100 across all of them. We talked about he who knows others is clever, but he who knows himself or herself is enlightened. And we want to be enlightened here because we want to, again, calibrate across a 100 across all of those things. Now, last edition, we covered birds of a feather flock together. This edition is going to be just as hot because we've had an opportunity to cover a lot of different things. We've had some subject matter experts. The last two episodes, it was just you and I. Again, on our podcast, talking about birds of a feather flock together. And, we talked a little bit about on that podcast about the circle test and whether you're the big fish in the small pond, whether you're, are within that 10% of your core group, 10% below, 10% higher, to actually introduce any, criteria that you want to in that circle test, whether it's a student, a GPA, whether it's a professional, net worth, or title or assignment. And if you're not where you want to be, you need to get new people in your circle. Keep the folks you got, but you want to get those folks that are doing things that you already are doing. Because again, how can a poor man teach a poor man to be rich? So now, with that being said, today's factor is earn the right to floss. Woo, earn the right to floss. And especially in this day and time, we're seeing it way too much. And it's across all generations. When I first wrote the book, Personally Improving Mental Performance, gosh, I think it was back in 08 or 09. And I was thinking about my kids at the time. And, when I wrote this book, and I was thinking about the fact that there's so many people, even then during that time, and it's funny to think about that I'm saying in during that time, that there were people, flossing way before their time, getting tattoos all up on their neck and their forehead and, trying to look like the artists and the rappers out there or the ball players. And rightfully so. But you got to understand, these folks have earned the right to floss. They're wealthy. So they don't have to go try to find a job with a swastika in the middle of their forehead. So anyway, I'm going to leave that one alone. But so with this being said, one of the truest and wisest statements, I've ever, seen or ever heard spoken is the cart does not come before the horse. The cart does not come before the horse. The top 5% that live in that high QOL, that's that, quality of life, they understand the law of farming. We talked about the quotes and one of the things that I talked about was, again, the law, you reap what you sow. Well, one of the biggest problems that I see with people today is they want to floss, or live the life of their favorite celebrity or reality show star, and you're the only, you're the only person in your own show, and you have the starring role. So why live out another person's life when you are the starring role in your own reality show? Why don't you win yourself a Grammy? With that being said as well, it's before their time or without earning it when they want to actually, do and look at, the way these celebrities look. The people that, they're looking up to and they're influenced by and persuading them to get tatted, pierced, et cetera. They're worth millions. They don't even, you're trying to make me a minimum wage, this is crazy. And you're making minimum wage, many people, and it's not taking, throwing any mud or slinging anything. It's just trying to educate. You're pushing the bins, you set it on 24-inch rims and, wearing, the red bottoms and got the bags and posting all the things on social media, while living in your mom's basement. That ain't cool. And the irony is now you see all of your favorite artists that had got you starting to do all of these things, removing tats, taking dreads off, taking cornrows off, or whatever the case may be. And now they're on the cover of Forbes magazine, sitting there sharing a cigar with Warren Buffett. Watch yourself. Watch what you're doing. Jay-Z said, you're a customer. You're a customer, homie, something like that. You're, crony or whatever. So you need to make sure that you're really, really keeping attention to what the flow of these people are doing. So with that being said, I'm gonna dive into the book here a little bit and what I was talking about during that episode or during that particular time when I was writing the book. And let's see what it was talking about. Let's see. That's what it was. I'm a hustler, homie. You a customer, crony. Could not be true. More true. You got to really, really be careful with that. These folks that they have these tats, they have multi-million-dollar contracts, and if you look back at the college days of most of these athletes, you see that they conform to the protocols of their time until they earned the right to floss. Once they got out of, Duke and UNC or wherever the case may be, and then they got into the league, that's when they started to do what they wanted to do because they had earned that right to floss. Now, I'm looking back at all of the old stuff that I had put in the book during that time. And it's interesting that, that they now have obtained socioeconomic level that requires them to transform once again. They have to figure out how to spend all of the dollars that they have made off the customers like you. But, so maybe now they're buying into sports franchises like Usher, Jigga Man, and or going mainstream like Master P or Ice-T. Either way, their money and their quality of life is steadily increasing while you can't even get a job because of the tattoo in the middle of your forehead. Ooh, I didn't mean to go there when I wrote the book. I'm sorry. But, as I mentioned under the Oil the Machine section of the book, there are 3 dimensions of your being that you must develop. And we talk about it when we open the episode every time. That's mind, body, and spirit. Again, to obtain the optimal quality of life and improve your performance in all 3 of these dimensions must be balanced. In this case, focusing on the physical only in the form of vanity or an artistic expression is not considering how overindulgent and will limit your ability to become gainfully employed or considered for a high-profile position. And that's a hard pill to swallow after the fact, So remember the expression short-term pain for long-term gain. Short-term gain for long-term pain is tried and true. So with that being said, thank you, listeners. I want to again just kind of review to those new listeners that just joined in. Please visit the Spreaker library. Again, it's Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com. Spreaker.com. That's where the previous episodes are housed. We've talked about some wonderful things, breaking the generational curse. Tomorrow's a new day. Yesterday really did end last night. The game of life has no gender or ethnicity. You are your own CEO, and you're already a CEO. You better watch your bottom line. Transforming, not conforming. And last week was hot, as all are. Birds of a feather flock together. We've also had some subject matter experts in. We've talked sports disciplines of sport. We started off with football. We had the Heisman Trophy winner Ron Dane on. We've also talked about the body and the mind and harmony. And we did that with attitude determines your altitude as well. as thoughts become things with the yogi Carmen Dane, as well as again the survivor Andre Thomas. Please support their body of work. And we're going to end this podcast with this quote. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life, people. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your inner voice. And most importantly, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. Somehow, it already knows what you truly want anyway and want to become. Everything else is secondary. Head for the stars. I will meet you there.